Order the 6:45 work session of the Town of Sunset Beach Town Council for December 4, 2017. This is the work session. There was, although it was noticed, there was no closed session. Following the 6:45 work session, we'll go into the 7 p.m. regular meeting. The first item in the work session is a draft agenda review, amendments, and approval. Is there any discussion with regard to the draft agenda? I have one comment in that we're going to need another GSATS representative.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I have a problem. Houston has a problem. I have a head cold and my hearing aid is in the hospital. So I would appreciate it if all of you could use the mic and speak up as loud as you can, because I can't hear a thing. Thank you.
All right, we're going to need a Peter was the initial GSATS representative, and Councilman Corbett was the alternate. So we're going to need another one. Do you want to deal with that tonight or put it on for the 19th?
I can't hear.
All right, this is just, we have to replace a GSATS representative because Peter's leaving. The suggestion from Mark was that we do it on the 19th, and not tonight.
All right, that's fine. It's something for us to think about, see who wants to do it.
All right, so it will be on the agenda for the 19th. All right. I don't have any other comments. Does any members of the council have comments or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I do. I noticed under old business item B, approval of budget amendment for a living shoreline. I would like to defer this until after we have our hopefully planned workshop meeting in January, so we can first see what the available funds that we have along with the other projects and prioritize them. According to the data that I've read, there's a budget of 90, I think it's $90,000.
Yes.
95.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Susan's got a comment. Susan, can you address that, please?
Yes. This is something we have to do. We have received the check from the state for the grant amount, and in order to reflect that, as we deposited the check, this is the amendment that we are lawfully obligated to do.
Well, we received the grant of $35,000.
Yes, that's all we're doing, is we're saying through this amendment that we've accepted this grant money of 35 and
But
change.
we haven't decided yet whether it's going to cost more than $35,000.
I understand that. That's why we budgeted $90,000. Right now, this is a process that we need to do. We have received the check. We need to do an amendment because we've
Right, I
received the
understand that,
check.
but can we defer it until we go through all the line items?
I don't recommend it. It's something that we're obligated to do by state law.
Can I ask a question there?
Well, I don't want to feel...
By making that amendment, if we make the amendment tonight, that still permits us in the future to have a full discussion over the living shoreline. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and you could
And
also...
it does not commit us to spending the money at
It
this
does not. This is because we deposit it in the bank. If you choose in the future not to go forward with this project, we'll return the money to the state.
Rich, do you understand that, Rich? They're going to deposit the money into the checking account. We can review and talk about it, and if we decide not to do it, we'll give back the money, and we're not obligated to go forward.
This
Yes, I understand that, but what I'm trying to get an assessment of before we approve this money, to see what the remaining fund balances that we have related to the other programs and...
Rich,
that
you're
we
not
have.
approving the project. You're only approving the receipt of the, can you hear me,
Grant.
Rich?
You're not approving the project, Rich, just approving the monies. And if we
For the
decide
grant.
not to go, we don't issue the money.
All right, so that, do I have a motion on acceptance of the draft agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
in accordance with new regulation, does any member of the council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regard to any item on the agenda? If so, please state so at this time.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Nobody else is?
No.
Okay. It's not quite 7 o'clock, so
Can we do staff report?
do we have any problem doing a staff report now?
Not at all.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions with the report that's included in the packet. If there are none, I want to mention that Officer Matt Harden has successfully completed his one-year probation as of 11/28, and he is a welcome addition to the force. I also want to mention that we are currently in the process of accepting toys and clothing items for Brunswick County children. Those are being accepted here at our station. Also this Saturday, December 9th, at the Walmart in Shallotte from 11 to 3, we will be doing our first toy drive, where officers from the Sunset Beach Police Department along with Shallotte Police Department will be in the foyer there, again, accepting toy items and clothing items for Brunswick County children. Those items are going to be given to Brunswick Family Assistance and will be given out to area children December 15th, right before the holiday.
All right, any questions or comments with regard to the staff report?
What time does that drive start on Saturday?
11 a.m.
Good job.
Public Works?
Just like to add that 6th Street beach access is now open. Also, probably at the first of the year, we'll also be taking down 40th Street beach access. There's some work that we got to do in between the houses. So there's some wood that's got to be replaced, so we'll be shutting it down probably about the first of the year. All the work on the paving will be completion by Wednesday. And the roof for the fire station 1 is about 60% complete.
Any questions on the report? Comments? Councilman Lorton?
Question about the fire department roof.
Yeah.
As the contractor's been proceeding with the scope of the work that was outlined by our previous consultant, has any issues come up have they found out anything that is unforeseen, differing site conditions?
I have a meeting with him tomorrow.
Okay, nothing that you know of right yet?
Do you have-
Nothing I know about.
I mean, for the...
Thank you.
Anything for DPW?
No, not until the.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Planning?
Good evening. Y'all have my report. You get a weekly from me as well. We are neck deep in houses. So, yes. Yeah. Woohoo. We are slam packed every day. So, if you got any questions about anything going on, feel free to shoot.
I have a comment.
Go ahead. But make sure that your mic is on.
I'm working on it.
He's on.
Is that on? Okay. I had the pleasure of meeting a fellow named Joel Macon, who is North Carolina's building licensing investigator for southeastern southeastern counties of North Carolina. He covers 19 counties and 67 inspections office. Okay, the essence of the discussion was, he said, one, we have an excellent department. He spoke specifically saying Carrie White, Stanley Hills, and Cindy Nelson are doing an outstanding job, and that our department is one of the 10 best in the state. That was his judgment, and I'm passing that on. So if you would
I'll pass it on
to staff, please. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Those are the kind we like to hear.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Good job.
Fire?
Roof is going. If anybody wants to come down and experience the noise, come on down. It's very loud, but it looks like they're getting everything under cover now. We won't be getting wet. So we'll find out. Hopefully they'll be done by the end of this week, according to the supervisor that's there.
You still have remaining work to do on the inside, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Because of the water damage?
Yes, sir.
Do we know what the estimated cost is for that at this
Haven't-
point? Okay,
haven't
that's
got-
fine. No,
Haven't
no.
got into that yet.
All right.
Want to get the leaks, make sure they're secure before we start fixing anything inside. Last month was fairly busy for an October. Not as busy as it was when we had the hurricane, but it was fairly busy. Getting ready for Christmas? Thanksgiving's gone, getting ready for the new year. Any other questions?
Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
We all have received a copy of the financial report from the finance director. She's not here tonight. Does anybody have any questions with regard to that we can take back to her to be answered?
I think we should wait until she's here next meeting.
Okay. That's it for the, oh yeah, the administrator report.
I just have a few updates on the Main Street sidewalk. We did meet with state agencies 2 weeks ago, and we will go back probably to meet with them in December. They're working on reviewing our updated application. With regard to the living shoreline, should it be approved, we're not doing anything right now. We are waiting for council direction, but hopefully, if we are approved, we hope to have it engineered and permitted in January so that it can be completed with volunteer help before Memorial Day. The stormwater manager has been hired. He will begin on December 14th, and I'm looking forward to him starting the process of stormwater. He will come back to you with a project timeline and task for you to review in order to implement our stormwater management plan that we adopted in August. And our Appalachian State graduate intern will begin on January 9th, and she will be helping the new stormwater manager develop the community outreach program.
No, it's all right.
Okay. Then,
Mr. Mayor, if I could save some time. We should be all pleased with the Mad Inlet arrangement. Deferring this construction and the issues and stopping this development took many years, for those of you who do not know. I can recall attending a meeting at the fire station about 4 or 5 years ago when they attempted to and were successful to removing the inlet designation for Mad Inlet, clearing the way for development. Politicians like to take credit. The credit goes to Jan Harris, who provided the town the information for the town to carry the ball to save Mad Inlet. And I want to congratulate her personally and thank you on behalf of the many citizens who want to preserve our coastline. Thank you, Jan.
all right. I'll call to order now the 7 p.m. meeting of the Sunset Beach Town Council, December 4th, 2017, and request everyone join me in pledging allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, the next item on the agenda is the opportunity for public comments on agenda items only. Before I entertain the comments, I want to reiterate that the council has established rules for public comment periods. This applies both to this and the general comment period at the end of the meeting. These rules were adopted in December of 2013. They consist of 4 items. One is each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. The chair will inform the speaker when the time is up. Number 2, individuals are allowed to speak once per public comment period. 3, comments are to be directed toward the full council, not individual members. And 4, these periods are not intended to serve as discussions between a speaker and council. I'll read them again before the public session at the public comment section at the end of the meeting. I just want to bring that to everybody's attention that these rules were established back in 2013, and I intend to do my best to abide by them. All right, now is the opportunity for public comments on agenda items only. If you have a comment as to an agenda item, I request that you raise your hand. I'll recognize you. Come forward, state your name and address and your comment, and try and limit it to 3 minutes. Tom?
Tom Vincennes, 422 36th Street. I just really wanted to offer my thanks to our outgoing council members and our outgoing planning board members. Carol Scott, we know, has been with us for 8 years. When I try and think of how I describe Carol as a council member, a number of words come to mind. Tireless worker, dedicated, knowledgeable, creative, impartial, objective, determined, civil, and conservative when it comes to spending anyway. But an awful lot has changed in the last 8 years, and I'd just like to thank Carol for her contributions to making all these wonderful things happen. Mr. Larkin would probably feels to a degree like he's been with us for 8 years on the council. But we know that's not quite the case, but has been there for over a year, made many contributions, and certainly shows the strengths that I just mentioned with Carol. We do have 3 members of the planning board that I'd like to thank as well. Len Steiner, Greg Jensen, and Bob Tone. Thank you, fellows, for your efforts and service to the planning board.
Thank you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, would you give those descriptive phrases to my husband over there, please?
Well, I also wanted to congratulate Peter Scott on getting his wife back.
Well, I'm doing that.
That was,
Hi, Katie Hovermill, 1419 Bay Street, 1429 Bay Street, Sunset Beach. And I'm glad that Tom came up and spoke, because when Mayor Forster said that the comments had to be directed to council as a whole, I was wondering if it was proper to say.
no, at this point, it's proper.
At this point,
it's proper.
okay. To thank Mr. Larkin and Ms. Scott for your service, Pete and Carol. You know, people say to me, why don't you I hear comments, why doesn't somebody run for council? And I think I know the answer is because it's a thankless job and it's a tiring job. And thank you. We may not agree with what you decide, but we do agree that you've worked hard, and I, for one, am very thankful for the time that you've spent. And also point out, besides the things that Tom said, what struck me about both Carol and Peter is that you seem to have studied everything in advance in great detail. And as a resident, I appreciate someone on council who studies the issues thoroughly and doesn't just show up for the meeting. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Other public comment? All right, none appearing. We'll move on to the next item, which is farewell comments by outgoing elected officials, and I call on first Councilman Larkin.
Carol, I thought you were going to go first.
You're a bad boy.
Carol would never go first.
Don't tell that to my husband either.
with me, I'm going to stand so I can face you and face our citizens. And thank you all. Just a couple notes. And Carol, I know you're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff, so this is fine. I've been honored to serve for the last 2 years as council. It's been interesting. Working directly with town staff has really been very rewarding. I'm impressed by town staff's dedication and their professionalism. Every step of the road. Thank you. And Susan, you've got a great team here. Lisa, I'm going to miss you in particular. I've gotten to work closely with my fellow 4 council members and Mayor Forrester. And I've learned a lot about each one of you. And I'll be watching. I congratulate John Corbett on being reelected and Mayor Forrester on being reelected. 2 very hardworking people that show up knowing the subject matter. And they spend a lot of time researching it before they come here and sit behind the dais. Jan, congratulations on a great campaign you ran, and I know you'll do a great job here. Charlie Nern, congratulations as well. And Charlie's been, as Jan has been, very active in this town. And you guys are going to be in good hands with these 2 sitting up here now. They know what they're talking about. I may not agree with what they're saying, but they know what they're talking about. And fellow council members and mayor, I trust that you all will continue to strive to support public safety. It's the thing that's important to everybody here. We're an aging population. Public safety is more important in this town than it is in most towns. And please continue to keep a focus on that. We need to protect our environment with facts. We all came here because of our beach and the pristine environment. We need to keep it that way. And I know you all work hard to do that. And consider the quality of life for our population, for our citizens. Make yourself available to listen to our taxpayers. And that's one of the things that I didn't appreciate how much time that was going to take when I put my hand up to run for council. It isn't just what we say up here and me sitting with Mark or Rich or John or Carol or the mayor or staff, but it's hearing what you folks say. And that takes a lot of time. But some of the best ideas that we have dealt with up here have come from you, not from us. So continue to keep looking and seeking the input from our taxpayers. And just don't, and I know you won't, but don't look at the focus on the loudest voices, because sometimes that's not where the rubber meets the road. We need to support the majority of our citizens. I particularly want to recognize the hard work of Mayor Forrester. He came in, I mean, I was appointed to fill a vacancy that was left by a resignation. Then the mayor came in to do the same thing. Then John Corbett came in to do the same thing. So we hit the ground, maybe without as much forethought as you do running a campaign. But Mayor Forrester, you've dealt with some very contentious issues, and you've done it professionally, and I thank you for your leadership up here. And thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
It's my turn. I'm going to try not to cry. This is an emotional occasion for me as I say goodbye to one of the most rewarding periods of my life. I don't want to make this a typical farewell speech, taking up time to thank a whole list of colleagues, staff, and others, although all deserve those thank yous. But I do want to thank the citizens of Sunset Beach for allowing me to serve you for 8 years and to participate in some of the most important decisions made by the town of Sunset Beach. And my husband insists that I also thank the citizens for giving me back to him. What I do want to reflect upon is how far we've come in those 8 years and some of the highlights from my point of view. I've been on council for the completion of our bridge, the roundabout, the sewer system, the second fire station, the boat ramp, purchase and construction of a park, the bird walk, major landscaping improvements, the start of stormwater system improvements, and bike and pedestrian paths, just to name a few. I've helped spearhead the town's positions on terminal groins, offshore drilling, seismic testing, and wind energy offshore. Council passed too many ordinances or changes to ordinances to list. Of course, some, like our tent rules, parking rules, and beach and park rules and regulations, were revised numerous times as usage changed. I've gone through 2 land use plans, the Unified Development Ordinance, and then revisions to that document, and 8 budgets. The one constant in my positions every year of my service was my attempt to keep town spending reasonable and budget decisions rational. The bottom line is that we've all accomplished a lot, and we've done so despite very different views on many issues. I don't think it's any secret that there have been times when serving on council has been stressful and distressing for me, when differences of opinion have been allowed to diverge into personal attacks and allegations of wrongdoing. So as I say goodbye, I want to urge council to remember that there are always 2 sides to every issue, that reasonable people can differ completely without allowing those differences to affect their ability to work together, and that governing responsibly involves respect for others and compromising competing views on issues for the benefit of the public. I've always tried to see both sides, to understand the facts and to listen to the voters, and to make decisions with full consideration of the opinions of my fellow council members. I sincerely hope that those principles will govern the actions of the new council going forward. Sunset Beach is a wonderful community. I'm proud to have served it for 8 years. Thank you for making that possible.
I know everyone doesn't have the opportunity to express their appreciation and their thanks, but on behalf of the citizens of the town of Sunset Beach, I don't think I'm out of line when I express the gratitude of those citizens to both Mayor Pro Tem Scott and Councilman Larkin for the time and the effort that they've applied. It's not easy, and it takes an awful lot of time and sometimes an awful lot of abuse. But they've both done a yeoman job, and they town is the better for it. Next is to swearing in.
No. You go.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, handing up.
Sorry, you didn't need to.
First, I'd like to call forward Mayor Pro Tem Scott. Well, you can sit there. You know, you come forward.
I'm going to have to get up in a minute.
I've expressed the gratitude of on behalf of the citizens for the time and the effort and the expertise that you provided with regard to the government. And this is just a small token for your outstanding dedication to public service from 2009 to 2017. For Councilman Larkin, I became familiar with Peter when we were on the Board of Adjustment together. I was sorry to see him leave the Board of Adjustment, but the council was better served by his service. I express my appreciation of the citizens on behalf of the citizens for his contribution, and this is a small token for his service on council from an outstanding dedication in public service from 2016 to 2017. Next, I'd like to call forward Lynn Steiner. For those of you who don't know, Lynn's been around for a while. You could probably tell that by looking at him, right? And he's contributed to the town in a number of ways, serving as a councilman for a substantial period of time. Was it 2 terms?
2 terms, Mayor Pro Tem.
And also serving on the planning board from 2013 to 2017. Once again, as I've expressed before, that on behalf of the citizens, we appreciate the time, the effort, and the expertise that you provided, both with regard to your council service and planning board service, and the town is better for having. Thank you very much. Greg Jensen. Greg was another member of the Sunset Beach Planning Board. We're recognizing him for his outstanding dedication and public service from 2014 to 2017. For those of you that aren't familiar or intimately familiar with the process, the planning board's responsible for the orderly development of the municipality. They put together the zoning. The council passes the eventual zoning ordinances, but they pass the UDO for those. That's the Uniform Development Ordinance. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's how many pages? 150. And we put them really. The council really put them through the paces this year because we must have revised it. I don't know how many times and sent it back to them, much to their dismay. But Greg has put in outstanding service, and the town is better for it. Congratulations, Greg. Robert Tone. Okay. Once again, Robert Tone was a member of a former member of the Sunset Beach Planning Board. We're recognizing him for outstanding dedication and public service. All the comments I made with regard to Len and to is applicable. He served, Bob served from 2011 to 2017. And once again, I want to recognize his service and the fact that the town is better for it. Thank you. Betty Oakes. Betty Oakes has served on the Sunset Beach ABC board. Those of you who are not familiar, the town regulates or runs the, I shouldn't say runs, the town, the inmates run it. It's is responsible for the ultimate running of the ABC store. And Betty's been a member of the ABC board from 2001 to 2017. They make policy decisions with regard to the running of that store, and the town has always rested substantial confidence in them, in their reliability, and we want to thank you. That's from 2000, that's 16 years, from 2001 to 2017. Thank you very much.
Left hand on the Bible and raise your right and repeat after me. I, Robert Forrester.
I, Robert Forrester.
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office as mayor
the duties of my office as mayor
for the town of Sunset Beach,
for the town of Sunset Beach,
Brunswick County,
Brunswick County,
North Carolina,
North Carolina.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I'll be talking to you.
Okay, I'd like to call up I'd like to call up the 3 newly elected council members, John Corbett, Jan Harris, and Charlie Nern. If you would all come Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, please. And repeat after me. I, and state your name.
I, John Porter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office as councilman
the duties of my office as councilman
for the town of Sunset Beach,
for the town of Sunset Beach,
Brunswick County,
Brunswick County,
North Carolina,
North Carolina,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Charlie, over here.
Pick one. They'll move you around later.
Right here, Charlie. Laura, take this picture.
Get out of the way here. Make sure you got enough room there, Charlie.
All right, that completes the seating of the new council. And now we're moving into the continuing portion of the 7 p.m. meeting. The next item is item number 8, which are public hearings on the North Shore Drive Extension paving project and the Cobia Street paving project. We have received the report from the town clerk that she's done a preliminary assessment of a preliminary assessment resolution was adopted by the council on November 6th, proposing to make special assessments against benefited property for the paving of North Shore Extension and for Cobia. And the North Shore will consist of paving North Shore Drive Extension from Cobia Street to the private portion of North Shore Drive Extension near 19th Street, and was also publicly noticed for a public hearing tonight. The same with regard to Cobia Street. We've received the certification of the clerk as to both that the provisions of the statute have been met, and I'd like to now declare the public portion of this hearing, the public hearing, open for public comment with regard to the assessment and paving of those two streets. If you wish to be heard, I request you raise your hand. I'll recognize you. You step forward and state your name and address. Sir.
Chris Kuchaka, 425 Cobia Street, Sunset Beach. I would like to know if the council has or can provide any information regarding stormwater drain off in regards to whether or not the street that's about to be paved would be disrupted if stormwater was eventually put in. Thank you.
Did you understand the question? What he wants to know is if it's paved now and then stormwater drainage has to be put in. First of all, would subsequent stormwater drainage infrastructure have to be installed, and what would be the impact on the paving if it had to be?
If there's any, stormwater drainage that had to be installed, it would have to be put in the right of way between the asphalt and the power boxes. So we would have to wait and see.
What you're saying is that the piping would be in the road right away, not the paved portion?
Sorry.
Su-
I'm just
Susan?
waiting.
Susan?
Not in the pay portion.
The plan was fully surveyed, and we did core sampling of the road, and we did topo survey work of the road. We don't foresee any stormwater issues related to it because it's a high percolating area as far as drainage. We will, of course, monitor it as we go forward. There are some utilities in the right-of-way that are suspect, and if we do need to make some adjustment, we will after the paving project.
But it's been engineered.
Yes, it's been
I understand
engineered,
it's been
fully
engineered.
surveyed.
And that's the reason why we did the engineering
Yes,
study.
expressly the reason why we did it, because of its proximity to a water body
Right.
and the fact that it's one of the first roads we've paved in a very, very long time, so I wanted to make sure it was done right.
And that's as to both roads?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Other public comment? The council did receive a email that I responded to from a resident that I responded to email and said that who I understand is not able to be here tonight, but I represented it would become part of the public record. And with your indulgence, I want to read it. The email is in opposition to the paving of North Shore Drive extension. One, when the road is paved, 100% of the water will run off onto properties like, well, I should identify the resident. The resident is Ernest Kahn, 401 16th Street, Sunset Beach. When the road is paved, 100% of the water will run off onto the properties like my driveway. And as it is now, if there is more than a small amount of water, it floods and then goes under my home and onto the concrete. Normal rain and even more never causes this because there is enough sand surface area, including the street, to absorb it. By paving, it will reduce the absorption area by at least 1/3 and make the problem even greater. 2, the street by design must be higher than what now exists, so for the water to run off without the installation of stormwater drains. It will flood the lots and homes adjoining the road. A study needs to be done to determine how to remove the water and the water via storm drains to prevent this. Excuse me. 3, when all of our lots were purchased, it was clear to us that the road was unpaved and the road was part of the sand surface absorption area that controlled the water. The new owners also knew this and purchased this with the knowledge it was unpaved. 4, in the past, the entire area was assessed when improvements were made, utilities, water, sewer, and we all paid for it. This assessment is proposed to be paid only by those adjoining the road, yet everyone at that end get the usage, yet they are not paying for it. That seemed not just unfair, but inappropriate. If these people had to pay for it, then maybe they would voice opposition and there would not be a majority asking to pave it. 5, those who get to use it will not be burdened with the increased runoff and flooding from the water that cannot be absorbed, and this is no fair to burden some without considering the effect of others. 6, my tax value will surely increase being along a paved section. I see no benefit in raising my taxes since we are being asked to pay this ourselves. Most importantly, I will have to relay to any purchaser the potential flood issues, and this will possibly decrease the actual saleability and value. 7, those who are asking for the assessment include some who have multiple lots, so by not considering everyone in the neighborhood weighs heavily on the request for this resolution by them. 8, in the past, before any resolution was considered, we were given full disclosure of the 1, actual cost, 2, ramifications, stormwater runoff and risks, and were 3, shown plans so we could consider it. We need to see the stormwater drains and if new road will be dug down to prevent runoff to our properties or into drains and into canals like off Canal Street. There are other ramifications, but before this goes further, these concerns should be addressed, and after the study's done that shows the properties will not be adversely affected, then the council will be able to take appropriate action. All you need to see is the flooding that occurs on Canal when there is rain, and even with the storm drains into the adjoining canals. And then there was a follow-up that's also needs to be read. Well, there actually was two follow-ups. One was the homes at the very end, will they have to contribute to these costs? They want it paid to them, so then why not have them pay as well? And then there were additional comment. I'd like to add one more comment to my prior ones. The greatest benefit is to those at the end or near the end of the road. While they did not have to pay to pave their road, parentheses included in their lot price, close parentheses, they are receiving the most benefit at our expense. The reason all the adjoining landowners should have input and pay is the feeder road, Cobia and North Shore, extends to the side roads, and without the people on Cobia and North Shore, this would not be installed and paid for, but they get full use. This is different from elsewhere on the island, where if a single road is to be paved, only those people on it pay for it. The difference is the feeder roads exist there. I and other side road owners will have to pay a second time if we want our personal roads paved. That is fair. For purposes of the public, that concludes the comments that Mr. Khan would make if he was here, at least what he emailed. So the public is aware there's a statutory provision for paving of roads at the request of property owners when the town receives a petition, a properly framed petition and noticed to all the
Mr. Mayor, the only couple of questions that I have.
Hold on a second,
Oh,
let
I'm
me finish.
sorry.
The clerk then certifies whether the petition includes at least 51% of the property owners. It's a lineal feet of the property owners, correct? And once that is done, the town really doesn't have any alternative, has to hold a public hearing, and then it decides how it's going to proceed. In order to hold the public hearing, decide how it's going to proceed, we have proceeded with an engineering study and cost estimates, and that issue now is before council. All right, Mr.
No, the only concern I had, the 16th, 17th, and 18th or 19th Street, they are not part of this assessment, is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you recall the unit price per household?
We gave you an estimate of probable cost. You never know until the final
Well,
bid.
yeah, the
and-
unit cost, the average unit cost,
When you say unit, do you mean parcel?
parcel.
We, up to $2,000. Up to $2,000.
Up to $2,000?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. And the other thing, if I can comment on that, the people at the end of North Shore Drive East have already paved that area,
That is correct.
and they paid for it themselves.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
As part of this, and just so the public is aware, the council is aware, one of the agenda items tonight is to accept bids for the paving, and the recommendation is to accept the lowest bid, which to pave both streets is approximately $112,000 as a base bid. That's for action tonight. Councilman
Does that,
Corbett?
what does that come out as an average? Is that under $2,000?
Up to $2,000.
Up to 2,000.
I have not, I don't want to throw out numbers until we get a final.
Just a ballpark, I mean, it's,
Ballpark is up to $2,000.
And the same price for both Cobia and North Shore? And
No.
Earlier figures that were passed out had one price for
Yes,
Cobia and a
that's-
different, higher estimate for
Which is
North
why
Shore.
I'm saying up to $2,000 overall.
The reason why is
Right.
they're different lengths and they're different number of properties on each
Right.
street. If you just took the running foot of asphalt, it's the same, but
No, I understand.
any other comments, questions? Any other comments on the public hearing? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We've done the town administrator report. Did I miss that? No, it's on there someplace. That's new business, I think. Yeah, no, it's next. It's next. We've done number 10, which is the departmental reports, and then we go to old business, which is consideration of the selection of a mayor pro tem. We need a
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I would like to nominate Councilman Mark Benton to be pro tem mayor. And I would also try to change the culture a little bit if we could. My personal feelings is that I think the pro tem mayor should be a rotating, excuse me, a rotating position. That's something that the council can deal with at a later point. But I would like to nominate Councilman Mark Benton, Jr. to be pro tem mayor.
Well, he was interested in the junior, not the senior. If we vote on it, he would be, without it would be for a term of 2 years, because that would be the term. So if we're going to change it, he'd have to agree to the change.
Well, that can be.
I mean, you can talk about it later, but I just want you to understand that.
It's not a contract.
No, I just want you to understand that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Councilman Benton, do you want this position?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other nominations? Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You want to switch?
Do I have to?
Next item on the agenda is the consideration of approval of the budget amendment for the living shoreline. We received the memo dated December 4, December 4 meeting date from the finance director. We had some discussion about it earlier. The recommendation is that the council approve a budget amendment to accept the grant check and retain the additional revenue in the general fund balance. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The next item is consideration of the resolution directing the North Shore North Shore Drive paving project to be undertaken. That we haven't accepted the bids yet, but that's decided to go forward with the paving. Do I have a?
You have to adopt the resolution before we can even discuss the bids.
Right. Are we, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The next item is consideration of the adoption of the resolution directing the Cobia Street paving project be undertaken. Do I have a motion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item is the consideration of awarding the North Shore Drive Extension and Cobia Street paving project contract. You all have received the report of the 5 bids received. Believe it or not, just for public edification, the bids for the same thing go from $112,000 to $367,000. Oh, we were recommended to take the $367,000. The recommendation is that we accept the $112,000 and change bid. Do I have a motion?
I just have a question, Bob.
Sure.
Have we done references to this paving company?
Absolutely,
Yes.
and, yeah.
Yes, we have. And also, if you adopt the project, we are hoping to have it done before Easter also.
Justin, could you speak up just a
Okay.
little louder?
Have the
for me?
project done before Easter.
The project's going to be done before Easter.
So has this company done work for us before in
Before
the
we
paving?
start.
No, not Southern, no, I have not.
In the county?
Yes, they have done it in the
Did you
county.
check
It's
your
the-
calls to make sure they're?
Yeah, they
reputable
were good.
Okay.
Yes, it was checked out.
There's a big difference between 112 and 366,000.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
well, just to let you know, those that came out and actually looked at the road have the lower bid, and
Someone just done Google
someone,
Earth.
all they did was
Let it
linear
work.
foot and just threw it in
Yes,
there.
just throw it
So,
out there.
so we did not,
Now,
of
with
course,
this is
recommend
also
it.
the drainage or just paving the road?
Yes, the base and then paving the road.
There isn't, as part of this, there is no drainage infrastructure.
No, and just to let you know, we're not increasing the impervious area, the Morrow
Yes.
Road. The unpaved road now is considered
Yeah,
impervious already. So if there are drainage issues, those are things that we're not exasperating, they're already there, and it's something that we'll probably have to work with this
Sure.
property owner and
Yes.
contact him, because swales need to be maintained, and if we don't maintain them, the water
Right.
runs.
I have a motion.
So move.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is number 12, new business. It's consideration of the Sea Trail Plantation Master Association request to dedicate to the town the 19 streetlights in the Planters Ridge subdivision of Sea Trail.
Dustin, you're going to have to really speak up.
Okay.
Okay? Because I just have a couple of questions. Are these private streets?
No, they are public streets.
They are public streets?
Yeah, they're town-owned.
What has been our practice in the past? Because recently, this past year, the council had a discussion, and I think it went to the planning board, I may not be right on this, to place a moratorium on street lighting. No.
Susan?
Oh, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there is not a formal moratorium. I want to go back to why we brought this forward. This is I am. This is a request. What I'm asking for them, from the council, is direction to go forward, put all the information together, get the questions you have together, and bring it back to the council for consideration.
One of the questions I have, what is the past practice?
Well,
Yes.
from what I understand, I wasn't part of it, what I understand, in 2016.
That's it?
Yes.
You mean I have to take that?
No.
We have to read it tonight? We're trying to set a record for a quick council meeting.
This is past practice. Forgive me, I can't hold the mic and do this. However, what I'd like to do is review this.
Okay.
And to, as you recall, I presented a formal streetlights policy.
That's fine.
In the spring, which we did, okay, yes, sir.
And this issue was discussed and raised with Cape Side when they requested, as I understand, in 2016. And that, I
Yes.
assume that's in that book.
That's
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Dustin, since I'm in the LED lighting business, why are we doing sodium pressured lights, which burn at 70% more than LED?
These here,
That-
this is what was
That's
installed.
because of what's there.
This is what's there
Why
now.
aren't we replacing those with LED?
Well, that,
Well, that's part of the,
that could be a possibility, Susan.
yes.
That's
Yes,
actually,
Fraulein?
that's part of what we
Okay.
want to do, is go back, evaluate the
Right.
number of lights, the type of lights, and I want to reserve the right, and they're here,
Right.
to actually change out the lights to more efficiency, or even reduce the number of lights to make it more efficient for the community. And that's what we'll
Yes.
bring back to you.
So right there, there's 100-watt bulbs in there now?
Yes, 100 watts.
And then we'll get a staff report on it before we
Yes.
take any action.
You will.
And it's, so there's no misunderstanding. All these streets are on streets that are owned, they're
In
municipal
Planters
streets.
Ridge, yes.
Okay.
Right.
So it will, how long do you think that's going to take?
After the first of the year.
Yes.
But give me some time.
Well, no,
There's a lot
I
of,
just don't want to lose it. Put it on for,
No.
don't put it
January?
on, just put it on our list to come forward.
Right.
And I'll
Okay.
let you know when I get that done, because there's a
Okay.
lot of different
Oh, that's
entities I
fine.
need to, a lot of cats to herd to put
All
this
right.
together.
Let's move
all right,
on.
we're directing,
Susan, I need
They
help.
have my questions. I
I'll give
already
you a whole
sent
bunch
my
of lights.
questions in
Show you
to Ms.
different
Parker,
type of
so
LED lights that would go.
I'm happy with that.
we're directing staff to prepare that,
Yes.
so we'll have it and be able to decide on it.
What was the resolution of the Cape Side issue?
They accepted the lots. Yes.
Right back there.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of adoption of the 2018 meeting calendar for the Town Council, Planning Board, and Board of Adjustment. You've all received the calendar. I realize that, and I hope you've all checked with your significant other to find out if it...
Questions? One of the meetings is on April 2nd, which is Easter Monday. Does that affect anybody's plans?
April.
That's,
April 2nd.
I'm simple, what's?
it's Easter Monday, the Monday after Easter.
Okay.
Okay. And then the second, I'll just give you warning now that I will be out of town on July 17th and not at that meeting.
Well, we can review that at the time. If we
Yeah.
need to reschedule, we'll just reschedule
Or we
it.
can take a summer break.
Yeah, that too. We can take July off. We'll do less damage.
All right, entertain a motion to adopt the meeting calendar.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is to review upcoming agenda items, identify new agenda items for the December 19th meeting. I have one that I want to add, which is, it's a closed session item for personnel discussion for the 19th.
Mr. Mayor, I sent the council a copy of suggested agenda items that I'd like to be placed on the 19th of December and on the 8th of January. I believe you all have a copy.
Well, that's,
I sent it to Charlie, John, Jan.
well, we need to,
everybody.
we need to discuss these. The confirmation date and time of scheduled January workshop meeting. What meeting are you referring to?
Well, the plan was that what's on one of the agendas upcoming, that we have a workshop in January, so that we can organize our agenda items, prioritize them, and hopefully we can have workshops, additional workshops, so that we spend more time doing
Oh, well, we'll put
fact-finding.
that, all right, that's for discuss
Yeah.
it at the 19th meeting, okay.
Susan?
Susan.
I would recommend, since we got this on Sunday, that we place this document on the 19th for further and fuller discussion, and our finance director will be here also.
I don't have a problem with that, okay. We don't need to go over the individual items, and it'll be,
Say that again, Bob.
we're not going to go over the individual items. We're
No.
going to, this whole thing is going to be on for discussion on the 19th.
Yeah.
Well,
They're for both the 7th, the 19th, and the...
but none of this doesn't request anything on for the 19th.
Well, I'm just...
It requests that this discussion takes place on the 19th. You've requested that discussion take place on the 19th, but you didn't request that anything specific take place on the 19th, so we can discuss it on the 19th.
No, I did.
Well, that's what I thought you wanted to do. You said to confirm the date for the January workshop meeting.
Yeah, because we haven't
Well,
scheduled that.
we can do that on the 19th.
Right, that's
Okay,
fine.
all right. To place the North Jinks Creek dredging program as an agenda item for immediate resolution before continuing with this costly study. That's not going to be on the 19th. Discussion of it will be on the 19th, but we're not going to place the dredging program on the 19th.
We're going to have a discussion on it on the 19th.
Correct. That's all I'm making sure that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put that on the 19th, Bob.
That's what I said. All right. So the only additional thing that's on our list, we'll put these items for discussion on the 19th. And then the only other thing is that, close
Lisa, do you have a
personnel.
copy of all those things that need to be discussed? Okay.
The next item on the agenda is public.
I've got one thing that I think I'd like to have discussed at the 19th also, and that's clarification, discussion of the open meeting rules, how they apply to us. Discussion of the open meeting rules. Okay, my sense is emails that include all of us and have all of these resolutions are not in line with the open meeting rules, and we have to have a different way to do this. And one of the ways is to send the email to our town clerk, Lisa, and then she redistributes it, and that way the information gets
All
out.
right, whatever we decide to do. I mean,
that's-
I
All right,
don't,
well, the town attorney will be here at the time anyway.
All right,
so.
thank you.
I'd also like to add something. Also like to add something to the agenda.
Make sure that mic is on.
Not on, Charlie.
Yeah, it's on now.
How's that?
That's good.
One of my campaign issues was to improve our town's image by bringing civility to the council meetings. And I think our first step to that would be to conduct our meetings using Robert's Rules of Order. I'd like that to be discussed as a future agenda item.
I agree.
I've had individual discussions with each one of the council members, and I know that it has been raised, not just by Councilman Nern, it has been raised by Councilwoman Harris. And so if you want to put, I mean, we'll put it on there if you want, to change the operation rules, the Robert's Rules of Order from that which we
Okay.
presently use. Hopefully we'll get to all of it. Well, we're going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, so. All right, now on the agenda is item 13, public comments. Once again, if you have a public comment, please raise your hand. I'll recognize you, come forward, and please try and limit your comments to 3 minutes. State your name and address. And I want to, again, reiterate the rules that were adopted in December of 2013, that individuals are allowed to speak once per public comment period. Comments are to be directed toward the full council, not individual members, and that these periods are not intended to serve as discussions between a speaker and council. Okay, public comments on anything?
Jean Hutchinson, 436 6th Street, Sunset Beach. I want to congratulate Jan, John, and Charlie. I don't know if you really know what you signed up for, John does, but very good luck as you go forward. We moved here in 2005, and I've seen a lot of changes in Sunset Beach. Some very, very good, and I think it's best to really look at the positive and move forward. In that regard, I want to say I think the town looks ever so much better now than when we first came in 2005, and certainly when we first bought our house in 1984. So I want to thank those people who, Carol Scott on the Streetscape Committee. Palm trees weren't my first choice, but you know, it does look lovely. And it was, nobody asked. Nobody asked me. I also, when I got here, I was very bored. And so I volunteered for everything. I even have a shirt that says, "Please help me not to volunteer." My husband got that for me. But in that regard, I did volunteer for the beautification committee, which is one person said, you know, that's just, you're just providing free work for the town, which, yeah. And, but through that and through Sunset at Sunset, which I've been on that committee since its inception, I got to know a lot of very fine people. And because I live on the island and there was such a discord between the islanders and the mainlanders, it's been very, very wonderful to get to know both sides of the divide. But I I especially have to thank the town staff. Dustin Graham has, whenever the beautification needed anything, was there and was marvelous. As we worked on Sunset at Sunset, the council came and helped at the first Sunset at Sunset. And then it evolved to the town employees having a booth and the police having a booth. And that made the biggest difference. That was huge. That was huge because it put names and faces together. And I can't tell you how impressed I am, Susan Parker, with you, and I know I'm not supposed to address you, but you're not part of the council, so I'm going to. And your staff, incredibly wonderful, wonderful people. And as I move along in life, I will truly miss you. Lisa has always been one who answers any question I've ever posed to her. So I thank them, and I especially think the town looks beautiful this Christmas. And I know that last year, Susan was out putting out deer in the roundabout about 11 o'clock one Sunday night, I think. I don't know what your hours are, but that's not it. I know that. But as I just want to say to council, you know, go forward, make this town the best it can possibly be, and please support the activities that your town has decided to have. When you have a festival, everybody show up. Don't grumble about it, because what it shows to the outside communities is that we've got it all together. And so best of luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment? All right, none of,
She's down. No.
No game tonight. Katie Hovermail, 1429 Bay Street, Sunset Beach. Congratulations to John and to Jan and to Charlie on your election to the council, and I wish you the best of luck. This is my opinion, and my comment only. My prayer and my wish for you is that we get a lot done during your terms of office, and I hope that you can agree to disagree, that you can work together civilly and get a lot done as a council. As a resident who sits in the audience, a lot of times I get very frustrated when it seems that there has been a lot of opposition and argument without moving forward. And I feel like now is an opportunity to take care of, we have so much on the plate as for the town, and I hope that you will think about that and think about moving forward. It's also frustrating when to observe a lot of arguing going on in the process of making decisions that causes the meetings to run late. And I think about having to pay the town attorney and having the staff have to pay so late when you're obviously taking a lot of time making a decision. I believe in the past, when I first moved to Sunset Beach, the town council had workshops where a lot of the discussion and oppositions were voiced during a workshop where no vote was made. And at the meetings, the monthly meetings, then the decisions were made and without having to go through so much discussion that was take place in the workshop. So in my opinion, I think it would be good to consider doing that instead of having 2 meetings a week, have a workshop where no voting is done, but discussions are made. It's just a suggestion. Oh my gosh, I had another suggestion and I forgot what it was. So, oh shoot.
There'll be another opportunity.
Okay. Good luck to all of you. Oh, we do, another suggestion is if you do find that there's a lot of conflict as a group, then you could have a workshop and get a person to help you come learn how to discuss with disagreement. And I just thought of the other thing. If you're going to have Robert's Rules of Order, I think you need to have a parliamentarian, and that's someone who is certified as a parliamentarian to make sure that you do follow Robert's Rules of Order. Might be something worth looking into. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you. Karen?
Karen Joseph, 915 Sandpiper Bay Drive. As with everyone else, I wish the new council members the very best of luck. It can be a very fulfilling job. Jean neglected to say one thing to you when she came to the microphone. Jean is leaving Sunset Beach. She's returning to Richmond, Virginia, she and her husband.
We didn't know that.
As someone who has worked with her on Sunset at Sunset for 10 years, I just want to let you all know that even though they spent their summers in Vermont, Jean was always doing her share of the responsibilities for the festival. It has been my honor to know her and call her friend, and we don't have a mainland-island divide. And so on behalf of, with your permission, on behalf of the Sunset at Sunset Committee and all the members who have worked with her, I thank you, Jean, for your devotion and dedication to our town and especially to our festival. We will miss you, but we expect you to come the first Saturday in October for Sunset at Sunset 2018.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I was remiss in the public, in the council announcements at the beginning of the meeting. I wanted to remind everybody that there's a Bridge Preservation Society event tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, tree lighting and carols and entertainment and sing-along. So 6 o'clock tomorrow night down at the old bridge. Taking a little bit of discretion here, I had a late request from Councilman Nern, who wanted to say something.
I have some people I need to thank. My wife, Susan, hates the politics of this, and if it was up to her, I wouldn't have run. But she stood by me 100%.
I'm just trying to hear.
Okay. Susan is in Virginia caring for our grandchildren, Avery and Ryan, while their parents are in Japan. Next, I want to thank my campaign manager, Karen Joseph. She took all the pressure off of me, left me time to do nothing but campaign. Next, my campaign treasurer, Lou DeVita. Lou made sure that all my required forms, finance forms, were into the Board of Elections, and they were done to the penny and in a timely fashion. I want to thank my campaign committee. A group of wonderful people got together and again took the pressure off of myself, making it easier. I want to thank those that supported me by allowing me to put the signs in the yards and made donations to my campaign fund. And I want to thank you to you voters. I saw myself coming in a strong third. I was humbled to be the top vote getter. You had the trust in me, and I will work as hard as I can for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Charlie. Anything else? I think I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.